When presidents are no longer presidents, they usually devote themselves to good works of the fairly non-controversial variety. The impact of the super typhoon in the Philippines right now is a reminder that after we saw similar devastation in Haiti with the huge earthquake there in 2010, President Obama tapped former President Clinton and former President Bush to together lead what they called the Clinton-Bush Haiti Fund. The former president's fund raised and gave away more than $50 million in economic aid after that disaster in Haiti. Bill Clinton also has his Clinton Global Initiative. Jimmy Carter, of course, supports Habitat for Humanity. He does elections monitoring around the world. Who knows how President Obama will spend his post-presidency time? I did the math today and I almost couldn't believe it, but I think he's only going to be 55 years old when he leaves office. So that presumably will mean he'll have a long time to be an ex-president. The de facto job of being an ex-president, generally speaking, is to do relatively non-controversial good works. Or, if you're George W. Bush, you could spend that time trying to convert the Jews to Christianity, so we can have the second coming of Christ on earth and therefore the apocalypse. This is the invitation to a $100,000 a plate fundraiser that former President George W. Bush is scheduled to keynote this week for a proselytizing Jews for Jesus Bible group that tries to make Jewish people turn to Christ. The group has an apocalyptic end times theology that makes them believe that if they can only convince enough Jewish people to turn to Jesus, that will trigger the second coming and the rapture and the horsemen and all the rest. George W. Bush is raising money for that group this week. So far, the former president's decision has been denounced as, quote, infuriating by one of the country's most influential rabbis. The Anti-Defamation League, which loves George W. Bush, today put out this statement announcing their disappointment. Quote, "We were disappointed to learn that former President George W. Bush has decided to move ahead with his plan to speak at a fundraising event for an evangelical proselytizing group whose stated goal is to convert Jews to Christianity. President Bush is a friend who has an abiding love and respect for Israel and the Jewish people. I know that he does not represent or embrace the purpose or the mission of this group, and therefore I wish he would not speak there." Yeah, no, he's still speaking there. Sarah Posner at Mother Jones first broke this story Thursday night. We interviewed her and featured this story on this show on Friday. By the time our story ran, the Convert the Jews for the Rapture group had already removed any mention of former President Bush from their online hype for the fundraiser. But according to the Dallas Morning News, President Bush is still planning on going to this thing. A Bush spokesman confirms that the former president is speaking at the event, but declined to comment further, even to say whether Bush will be paid. But then get this, look at this. A person close to President Bush noted that the former president speaks each year to many groups, secular and religious, Christian and non-Christian. Last month, Bush addressed the Conference of Presidents of Major American Jewish Organizations. Quote, "So he can talk to all these other groups, but not this one," the person said. Well, yeah, this is the one that's raising money to convince the Jews that Jesus is the Messiah in order to bring about the second coming and the rapture. So yeah, maybe this is the one that's weirding people out. Just a touch. Especially the Jews. There was that time when it was the 60th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz, and Vice President Cheney turned up in a ski hat and a bright green parka with a big white woolly fringe like he was 9 and this was a sledding trip or something. There was that moment. That happened. But the George W. Bush administration generally had a really good relationship with the Jewish community. He got a lot of votes from Jewish people. There's no one who has ever made the case that George W. Bush does not like Jewish people or is insensitive to the Jewish faith in any way. I mean, really, no matter what else you think of him, he is not that guy. But he apparently is still planning on doing this Jews for Jesus thing. Maybe for money, maybe not, he won't say. He's apparently still planning on doing the Convert the Jews fundraiser Thursday night in Irving, Texas. Why on earth would he be doing this? And who told them this was a good idea? And shouldn't maybe one of the other former presidents give him a call and help him out of this one? Honestly, what is he thinking?